It's showtime.
All righty, 8:41, the TNA show.
That's good, Nikki.
Hey, best I can do, short notice.
That is good.
It's 8:05. It's Hot Talk 99.5 and the Hot Talk Morning Show, along with Dave Priest and Leanne Graham. And in the studio with us right now, proud to welcome Doc Antle.
Hi, Doc Antle.
And Doc Antle.
So we do appreciate the fact that you are making yourselves available to us. I mean, because of the Netflix documentary, Tiger King.
The Tiger King.
That's out there that everybody is watching. You did this. How long ago did you do these interviews, Rob and Doc, that the documentarian was trying to put this all together?
This all started 3-4 years ago, that they started visiting on a regular basis and trying to put the pieces together that they said was going to be about this tiger conservation education program that we were participating in, because they thought it would, help us connect to a wider audience about our big programs in Sumatra and other places, but just for conservation.
Yeah.
Not that we would get something as wild of a ride as this.
That, as you pointed out in conversations before, and we were just having a discussion off the air, that this is not a documentary at all as they would have most people believe. And as you were explaining just a couple of minutes ago, this is mostly a contrived situation and really just ramping up and creating situations that really didn't happen.
Well, just creating an outrageous storyline. There is a great, crazy story. Yes, a murder for hire plot did exist about it, and the lady that he's trying to murder, in theory, in the producer's opinion, probably mine too, she killed her husband, and they follow the story of she's trying to kill this, but this guy's going to try and kill her. And then on the sideline, they just grab me and throw me on the edge because we look so pristine and beautiful. It's not at all what we talked about working on, but I see that it's this outrageous roller coaster ride that seems like exactly what obviously everybody wanted to look at while they're locked in their houses doing the COVID battle right now.
Yeah.
But that we've gotten a ton of positive stuff from it and negative. There's both sides to it.
Yet they filmed a lot of interviews in garbage dumps is what it looked like.
Right, they flipped the other side, and they went to it. Joe's ex-husband there, I've known this gentleman, at a couple of big cat conventions and things over the years. He's got a big, bright, smiling face full of teeth. He always has a big set of teeth. They had him remove his whole connective bridge work, pull it out, and sit there with his raw, broken teeth and the pieces that the bridge work attaches to, and only did that. And they said, you also can't wear a shirt.
Oh, jeez.
And they took the other character, the little guy that had her arm torn off.
Right.
And they put her in like a garbage dump and had her sit there in a chair when, of course, there's somewhere where there's the back of a house or trees or something. But they put her in the most outrageous conditions to create this environment of crazy land.
Our facility is a palace. It's an incredible, pristine place with the greatest, healthiest, most beautiful wildlife there. And so we pop up in the middle as this shining gem of huge habitat and forests for cats to run and play in. And they wanted to try and bring all that together. And Joe and Carol are not so much big cat contact guys like we are. So we have all that incredible imagery of tigers running at full speed and diving into the big crystal pools and swimming. And that made the show all have curb appeal. You see what she's running in Florida is just a ridiculous backyard-looking zoo.
If you look at the characters there, the facilities that they're trying to keep this wildlife in is very low rent.
Right.
The big cat rescue place looks like it's falling apart.
It does.
It's just out of someone's backyard view of how a tiger might be kept. And Joe's place is outrageously overrun and too tight and not enough space and not enough money and time. So
the show is in many ways showcases how pretty we are against the backdrop of how outrageous they look. So that part's probably all right. They go off the handle, particularly at the end where they say, tiger cubs at Doc Antle's place, we asked him about them and whether or not they're euthanized. Well, that's just absurdity. And they said, I refuse to answer the question. Cubs are precious. They stay that way.
Right.
At the end of the show, they run that last black screen. Doc Antle was asked about euthanizing cubs. He refused to answer, except about 3 different 1-hour conversations with the producers. I gave them every narrative as this, just like we're talking about now, in depth, and showed them all the photos of cubs as babies all the way till they're 20 years old, over and over again. All that was dropped out of the show. They had full information that, of course, that never would happen. It's illegal. It's immoral. It is completely impractical, and it would have no value. They're pretending it's a profit concept. I wish we made a profit. We run that international conservation organization, the Rare Species Fund, which helps care for wildlife around the world.
With our projects in Sumatra, where we're holding ground there, we're looking over tens of thousands of acres. We've built a ranger station there, and we have rangers in our employ that are going through the jungle every day, picking up snares, chasing poachers, flying drones that Rob's been out there teaching them how to fly to look for poaching camps. And we've dropped the poaching in those areas dramatically by as much as 80%, where our rangers are out walking. That exists only because of the premium encounters that people have at the Myrtle Beach Safari with tiger cubs, with other animals. Coming out and meeting them funds the opportunity for what we have, our nonprofit organization, the Rare Species Fund, operating. And it happens only because of that love that everyone has, that bucket list fulfilling notion that they'd love to hold a tiger cub.
Tigers always have incredible value, but no one is euthanizing a tiger. No one's trying to get rid of it. These little cubs come and they come at our place. They're born there. We have a litter that we are hoping to always have in the fall. So we have 3 to 6 cubs in the fall who interact with guests for 20 minutes 3 times a day. That's how often the preserve is open, right? It's super limited. So if we have 2 sets of litters like that, that's a whole year, 10 to 12 cubs.
But where do they go afterwards? Because they grow into very large animals.
Because it's 10 to 12, and because we already have 80, and we're always having animals that are growing very elderly there at the facility. A ton of the tigers are making it into their mid-teens, and that's the last days for tigers. Tigers live just like dogs. Then they have this illusion running that those cubs run out of their use. A cub interacts with people around 3 to 5 weeks old. A cub stops interacting with people 16 to 20 weeks old, depending on the cub and his personality. After that point, he's still a superstar.
We only let a couple go. We need to keep most of the cubs that are born in our facility at our facility to fulfill our Species Survival Trust genetic testing program to keep producing the strongest, healthiest tigers possible. These big cats hold genetics that no longer exist anywhere else in the world except on our preserve. There are no representations of them. The big zoos hold a completely separate bloodline from us. The small zoos are just about extinct for keeping and reproducing with big cats. And the cubs that we have are essential players in creating the genetic diversity and the opportunity to have healthy cubs in the future, which perhaps can one day, if we decide to watch over and care for the wild in a strong enough way, be the seeds of reintroduction that could happen back into the wild. So no cub is ever euthanized. Of course, we care for them the entire time. And it's not just that we do it. The government sends federal veterinarians unannounced 3 to 4 times a year. They come in, they check everything that we do. They go through every cub that's born, any animal that might have died, anything that's taken place within the preserve is tracked on a list. Every time they come back, they compare list A to list B and want to see everything that's gone on. If a tiger cub left for some reason to a facility not of ours, then that cub is tracked through federal license numbers, through an address, through the owners, which there's just handfuls of in America. It's very easy to watch over these cubs. There's just this outrageous notion pushed by animal rights that there's this patchwork of laws and tigers don't have anyone watching over them. The federal government's hard at work making sure they're all exactly where they're supposed to be.
Hey, I had one more thing. There's a lot of outrageousness that somehow I have this inappropriate relationship that I'm married to multiple women.
What's inappropriate about that? What's inappropriate about that?
I was married 25 years ago.
Right.
My wife passed away here in Myrtle Beach in a car wreck long ago. That's the last time I was married. I am not married. I'm a single guy. Yes, I date girls. All the girls that I date are up in their late 30s, 40s, going to 50. I'm not out there looking to have relationships with staff.
Right.
The teenagers they're showing and the young, beautiful girls for parts of the program that they're popping around showing are my grandchildren, my nieces. They are Rob Johnson's fiance.
Right.
They are the fiance of my son. They're all these other girls. Those are the girls that they're showing the pictures of.
And then you show us their houses side by side. Well, did you realize how that was going to make you look?
That never actually happened. That's just editing. I went through and introduced each of the staff members, and they just took out all of the other introductions. And then we drove down a road, and they took a voiceover that was from days of time traveling around and said, this house is. Those are my neighbors' homes that they're pointing at. We don't live in those homes. We don't own those homes. They're just going for random houses as though that's what's happening because it's an edit. It's not a documentary. It's just a extravaganza so they can switch audio with visuals and stuff because they're not really doing a document. They also say at the end that the Myrtle Beach Safari was raided by authorities.
That's right. I wanted to ask you about that. There was some kind of DNA swabbing that happened a few months back, which you had explained as they were doing an investigation.
Right. This was an inquiry into a zoo in Virginia who we had rescued some lions from. Those lions were living with us, and they wanted DNA samples from those lions for an ongoing case in Virginia to show that the lions had traveled out of his facility. We showed them the federal paperwork and the health certificates that already proved it, but they had to actually have DNA for some portion of the case that was up there. We were not accused of any wrongdoing. There was no warrant towards us for anything that happened. This was just simple gathering of information for that case. But it's being portrayed as some outrageous notion.
Yeah.
Why do you think that Netflix did this? Because what they're putting out there and what they're trying to portray could be damaging. I mean, they've thrown out a lot of dirt on a lot of people who run these preserves. What was the motivation? Why would they do this to people who are making, who are doing the work that you're doing?
They saw the opportunity to make this outrageous show that was, just a comedy of errors and how a train wreck could be portrayed that you couldn't look away from. And I think they say 250 million people have now watched it. #1 show ever on Netflix. We're looking at something that's sweeping the world. We're contacted from all over the world. It's been picked up by every kind of news media outlet. Everyone's looking at it. Kim Kardashian got on and said, oh, my God, Carol killed her husband.
Yeah.
We're on the river yesterday letting the elephant go swim and play in the river.
Yeah.
Boats are driving by screaming, Carol killed her husband, and Tiger King and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? The show has captured the attention of all of us shut-ins that are here locked up. And you've got so many people. This is the most prime time to stare at a screen and become indulged into some outrageous fantasy land, which is what Tiger King is. Not a documentary, an incredible, wild ride of a fanciful tale that got everybody excited, got things going.
Anyone should come, that wonders should come see the facility. It is 100% just a breathtaking, incredible experience.
I can certainly attest to that.
And that's what people could really learn from, is if they could come and see us there.
All right, go online to myrtlebeachsafari.com, and you can, if it's not too busy, you can find out more about what's going on at the park here in the Myrtle Beach area.
Doc, thanks for taking the time today.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for swinging by.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for coming in here.
Thank you.
All right, go online to myrtlebeachsafari.com, and you can, if it's not too busy, you can find out more about what's going on at the park here in the Myrtle Beach area. All right, it's 8:33. It's Hot Talk 99.